Hey guys, before we get started, don't forget, if you like Bright Connections, if you like what we're doing here, be sure to leave the video a like, a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, the little bell, and be sure to share it with anybody that you can think of that might be interested in Bright Connections as well. All right, let's jump into it. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Bright Connections. I am BK. Here we are, another week. It's been a crazy last couple of weeks. Just being honest with you guys, being transparent. A lot of crazy stuff has happened in my life. Handful of deaths, to be honest, and a couple of young people, and that always makes it more tough when it's young people that pass early in their life, especially when it seems like they're just getting into the swing of things. And it was really tough, but through talking with family and friends and just staying focused on things, you're able to get through it, and you hope that you can provide support for the family and friends of those affected as well. So, but like I said, I just wanted to share, be transparent with you guys. Last week was, the right smack in the middle of when all this was going on, and things have been a little weird, but we're all good. Life does go on, and you can hopefully honor their memory, honor their life by remembering them as who they were and how they were and how they held themselves. And hopefully they're in a better place now. So, but as far as today's episode goes, recently there was news of release of a Lord of the Rings TV series that's going to be in the works or released. The initial release date is set for September of 2022. So I know for me, growing up, Lord of the Rings was a big, trilogy for me. I loved the trilogy. I have the books, all kinds of stuff related to Lord of the Rings, and it was huge back when I was younger. Kind of died off, I feel like, maybe 5-10 years ago. But it seems like it's kind of picked back up again within the last couple of years. But hear more stories about it, more people talking about it. And so I'm excited. I think the show is going to be good. I love the movies. So September 2022 is scheduled for the release of the new J.R.R. Tolkien TV series, Lord of the Rings TV series. So this series is, so we don't know much so far. But the series is set to take place in the, obviously, Middle Earth, which is the world, if you will, the world that the movies take place in. And it is set to take place in the second age of Middle Earth, which is before everything that happened in The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. So obviously The Hobbit was before The Lord of the Rings, for those that have knowledge of the series. So Hobbit was before Lord of the Rings. This is before The Hobbit. So this is before all that as well. They're thinking it's kind of going to take place, well, a very educated guess, that it's going to be based around Sauron and his rising of power and the forging of the One Ring. So it's going to be that huge war that we were led on to at the very beginning of the first movie of the Lord of the Rings, where the lady at the beginning is talking all about there was this war between elves and men, or not, between orcs and elves and men, and all the factions, and the huge war, and Sauron was there, and he's just mowing people down, and forge the One Ring to rule them all and all this. So that's what they're thinking that it's going to be. We don't know much more than that. We don't know if there's going to be any familiar faces. We don't know, what if we're going to see any familiar cities, or not a whole lot, but we know that it's going to be awesome. We know that it's going to be awesome. From a few pictures we've seen so far, there's going to be some familiarity, we imagine, some things that we might recognize. But like I said, there's no idea of what kind of characters might be there, other than probably Sauron. But it's going to be fun. Don't know much yet, but like I said, it was just announced, the scheduled release date and about the time period that it's going to take place. So should be good. So it got me thinking back to the original Lord of the Rings, if you will. And I wanted to throw together real quick a list of my top 10 characters from the Lord of the Rings. Okay, so my top 10 characters from the Lord of the Rings. So here goes, obviously from 10 to 1. 10 being, there's a lot of characters. So, 10's not the worst character. It's just the worst of the 10. And then obviously number 1 is number 1, best character in the series. So number 10, I have Sauron the Deceiver. So here you've got this evil character, this evil creature, who at this point in the series is just an eye sitting on the top of a tower. But what makes it crazy for me is that's all he is just this eye, but he's still able to influence the series so much. He projected himself in like dreams of people. He was able to affect things in magical ways, but literally just an eye on top of a tower. So it kind of speaks to how powerful this guy not only is, but probably how much he was, which is, again, makes this new series coming up next year so intriguing. That if this guy's gonna be in it, and he's gonna be running around, he's something. He's one bad mamma jamma, and should be good. So he's number 10 on my list, with his strength, even after being quote unquote defeated. For him to be just this eye in the sky, for him just to be this eye, to have all the influence that he did in the series, gotta have him on the list. Very important character, very strong character. So he's number 10. Just because, I'm all about the good guys. It's probably why he's number 10 and not higher. So number 9. I actually have Frodo all the way up at number 9. Frodo Baggins, arguably the main character of the show, of the series. The reason I have him so low on the list, I feel like he was under a lot. He went through a lot, bearing the weight of the ring. At the beginning of the show, he was a good person. He was very good and strong-willed. I just feel like he kind of gave into the darkness. I guess, like I said, it's tough. It's tough because I know, like I just got done saying, how powerful Sauron is. But I feel like he just became so corrupted so easily. He treated people like poop. And he just kept wanting to be alone, where everybody wanted to help him, and he just wanted to do it on his own. Now, you could argue that he wanted to do it on his own so that he didn't hurt anybody else, but at the same time, he wouldn't have been able to do it by himself. There's no way he would have been able to do it by himself, his journey. But to me, he dropped on the list because of, I think, if you think about near the end of the series, and the character that he became, it kind of stands out above who he was at the beginning of the series, and it kind of just turned me away from him a little bit. So, but either way, obviously he's an important character. He was the central point of the whole show, and was strong. It made the journey in the end, and did what he needed to do, if you will. Just that who he became along the way was a little rough for me. So, all opinion based, guys. All opinion based. Number eight, I have Arwen Undemil. Arwen. Arwen was the elf. She was the daughter of the elven leader, who I'm blanking on the name right now. But she, I mean, the influence she had on her father's decisions, the influence she had on Aragorn, the love that her and Aragorn had. But not only that, she was just a badass. She was a badass. Elves are really cool, really intriguing, with their you could say art magical, abilities. But they just have a persona to themselves that, like, it's just mystical, really mystical. I don't know how. I mean, that's probably the best way to describe it. They're very just, with the cloaks that they wear and the way they talk and present themselves, very low and slow, but very smart sounding at the same time. Very cool. But the things that she did, she healed Frodo. She saved them. She was there for Aragorn and influenced him how he needed to be influenced. Same thing with her father. But she also was there in the fight, all throughout the series. She was there. She was fighting. She was doing the things she needed to do to help the fellowship succeed. So, Arwen, number 8, and following her, another badass woman, Éowyn. Éowyn was the daughter of Theoden of Rohan. She was the one who would hide amongst the men and pretend to be a man just so she could fight alongside them, because they wouldn't let her fight alongside them. But she was a pretty good fighter. But she, very strong-willed, took Pippin under her wing and kind of defended him as well when they kind of made fun of him for being a hobbit, for being small and bad reach of his arm when fighting and everything. But she took him under her arm and under her wing and protected him and taught him and got him into the fight with her. And she ended up defeating the on this character's name too, but the Night King. I might be mixing Game of Thrones into there at this point. But one of the strong captains of the orc army, who was an undead creature. That guy. You know what I'm talking about. Come on. But just a very strong character, very strong-willed character. Never gave up, even when she was told over and over and over, you don't belong here, you can't be here, you're not strong enough, you're a woman, blah, 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 blah. Good example, ladies. Although at this stage in day and age, we all know that already. But this was obviously back in the past and things were different. But she stood up. She did what she needed to do. She was there. She was fighting, and she, in the end, didn't get Aragorn as she wanted, but still a very strong and independent and strong-willed character. Very important part of the show. So number 6, I have Gimli. Gimli the dwarf. Oh man, where would the show be without Gimli? Definitely one of the bigger comedic relief characters in the show. Guy's super funny, the things that he said and the way he acted. But obviously the relationship between him and Legolas that they developed. So if you're not terribly familiar with the show, he's a dwarf and Legolas is an elf, and elves and dwarfs do not get along. And so, on the first meeting, they didn't like each other because of who they were. Well, by the end of the series, they're best friends. So there you go. Perfect example, guys. You might not get along with somebody at the beginning, or you might have a negative opinion of them because of standards in the world or what you're told to believe in. Well, make your own decision. Make your own decision. And if you like someone, if you like their values and the way that they hold themselves and the way that they think and act, go against the standard, go against the norm, make your own opinion of somebody, and be friends with whoever you want to be friends with. But Gimli, definitely a wonderful character, otherwise strong fighter, as most of these people are. But I always remember him in the tomb scene, fighting the large ogre. I'm sure there's names for these things. I just don't remember all of them. But fighting that big ogre at his uncle's tomb or brother's tomb. I think uncle. But in the cave there, in the tomb, one of the best scenes. And Gimli, he was right there. So good character, good comedic relief, strong character, and was able to overcome stereotypes or the norm of disliking elves. And so good, fun character, and was always around. Number 5, I have Gollum or Smeagol. Yes, precious. That was not a good impression. I've done better. What's taters, precious? That was a little better. Okay. Anyway, Gollum, Smeagol is number 5 on my list. Another one of the bad people on the list, I guess you could say. Very misunderstood creature. So he, again, if you don't know, he was a hobbit in past life, and he was corrupted by the ring, by the One Ring. And he had it for a long period of time, corrupted him, and he turned into what we know in the movies as Gollum. So obviously he was there the whole time trying to get the One Ring back from Frodo, but at the same time led Frodo to where he needed to go. So he was his guide. So without him, Frodo might not have made it. Yes, he had his own agenda, but obviously a very influential character in the show, in the series. You kind of felt bad for him once you realized who he was in the past and what the ring did to him. You have to kind of feel for him. But at the same time, you're kind of like, I don't like this guy. He's nasty. And you knew he had a hidden agenda, but the other characters not terribly so much. They eventually realized, but so you're kind of like watching out for him the whole time, like 2 eyes on him. You're like, I'm watching you, boy. I'm watching you. So very influential, though. Going after the One Ring the whole time, but at the same time, Frodo kind of befriended him, you could say. He realized who he was and understood, because Frodo had the weight of the ring as well. He kind of understood where Gollum, went wrong and what happened to him. So, he felt for him. He felt for him, and kind of, it's tough to say. I don't want to say friendship, but a bond of sorts, whatever the bond may be. They developed something and kind of, in a way, looked out for each other. So, but very influential, very important character, Gollum Schmeagol. Couldn't have been Lord of the Rings without him. Number 4, I have Aragorn LSR II. Aragorn. A lot of people probably would have him higher up on the list. I have him at number 4. You know, the king Aragorn, the rightful king. But I feel like, I don't know, I guess he did take a good journey. Obviously, he took a huge journey from just being this lone ranger, this strider who went around on his own and just kind of was chilling, doing nothing, to taking his rightful place as king and leading the fellowship to where it needed to be. So definitely a very important and very huge character. I think the people above him just kind of had, I don't know, more impact to me. And while Aragorn was definitely a pretty cool, badass character, he had his flaws at times. You know, he didn't have the motivation. He didn't have the desire to be someone great. I guess you could argue that, you know, he's being humble. He doesn't want to be that person, but at the same time, you got those traits in you. You gotta let them loose. You gotta be that person that everyone else knows you can be. So, but either way, top 4 is pretty good. So Aragorn LSR II, number 4 on my list. Number 3, Legolas Greenleaf. I mean, what is there to say for Legolas other than stunningly good-looking man? I mean, come on. Well, you can't really say man. I guess he's an elf, but one of those mystical elves. Was just kind of, I mean, the way he would shoot a bow, though. I remember the one scene when they were on the plane and he's just out standing in the middle of the open where everybody else is way behind him still or whatever. And he's just firing these arrows from probably 500 meters away, maybe even more. He just boop, boop, just lasering people. But very swift and agile, and just, I don't know, it was really cool. Really cool to watch him, especially his fight scenes. But again, with his relationship with Gimli and what he was able to overcome as far as the norm or the standards or what they were led to believe, able to, it was very quiet and, you know, very on the quiet side, very reserved. But you kind of tell he had a very good, he had wisdom to him. He was a very smart, wise character. But for me, I think he's high up because of his fighting capabilities, how smooth and slick and just cool to watch. So Legolas Greenleaf, number 3 for me, number 3 on the list. Number 2, Samwise Gamgee. Samwise Gamgee. Sam, bear with me here, all right? Phenomenal character. I teetered putting him number 1. Reason being, this nobody, he's Frodo's gardener. He's his gardener, but he stuck by Frodo through and through, was tossed aside, was told to leave, was told to go away, was told to get out of here, was bashed, was ridiculed, was manipulated by Gollum to try to make it look like Sam was trying to hurt Frodo. And, you know, just over and over throughout the series, had every reason to complain, every reason to give up, every reason to turn away and say, forget this, man, I don't need this. Never once. Well, he kind of, well, I guess you can't say never, but he did start to walk away at one point, but he came back fairly soon after. But I mean, he stuck through thick and thin and all the everything, all the crap that he had to go through. and was there to lead Frodo till the very end. Just what could you say? The dude was nice throughout the whole series. He was a friend to everyone. He was it was just there. It was everything that Frodo needed him to be. And he was a gardener. He was a gardener. That's all. And that just goes to prove that anyone, even these people that you don't think are meant for greatness, if you don't think you're meant for greatness, you can prove everybody wrong. You can be something amazing just by being a good person, being there for others, being what they need you to be, and just being there and never giving up on people, always being there for them is a character trait that goes such a long way. And for him to have done what he did, that I can't see him not being high on this list. I can't see it. Wonderful character, strong. He's not one of the main fighters. No, he's not. But it's not always about fighting. It's not always about being the strongest. It's about being a good person. And you're not going to find a better person in the Lord of the Rings than Samwise Gamgee. One bright dude. Samwise Gamgee. Frodo's gardener. Turned hero. Now, so like I said, I teetered with him and the other person for number 1 and number 2. I kind of feel bad. I still want to put him at number 1, but I went with, at number 1, best character in Lord of the Rings, Gandalf the Grey/White. Gandalf the Grey, Gandalf the White. What is there to say other than this wizard enters the show exactly when he means to? A wizard always arrives exactly when he means to. From top quotes like that to his return after you think he dies, to just being a wizard. Obviously, that's pretty cool in itself. Just again, he's like the elves. He's mystical. He's just got that mystical nature to him, and it's cool. Obviously, he was willing to do whatever was needed to be done for the group, sacrificed himself so they could get away from the Balrog. Was there providing wisdom and knowledge. But I think the one point that obviously is the cool fighting capabilities and magic and stuff, that's up there. But I think for me, the one reason he ended up being number 1 on my list is really he was the sole reason that the Fellowship was put together. He was tasked to get this one ring to the end, to be destroyed. And he was tasked to put this band of people together to achieve a common goal, connecting them. And it wasn't an easy task. It's not an easy task finding, hobbits. There's these little creatures that lived on their own. They didn't go with the outside, do anything with the outside world, to men, to humans, to elves, to dwarves. Put this group of people together, these group of individuals together to achieve this goal. And he knew exactly what he was doing. So, without him, the Fellowship probably would have never existed. And so from the start, he was always a good friend with Frodo, and looked over the hobbits on the very, very beginning of their adventure. But just I think that's, like I said, I think that's why he edges out Sam as the top character for me. It's just he was the sole reason for the whole thing. So, but obviously pretty cool being a wizard, and always top quotes and fun stuff. And you shall not pass. I mean, that's one of the best there too. So, Gandalf the Grey, good actor too. Ian McKellen, fantastic actor. Obviously, there's a lot of good actors in there. So, but Gandalf the Grey, number one on my list. Well done, sir. Well done. So there you have it. Top 10 Lord of the Rings characters for BK. Let me know what you guys think, obviously. If you're a Lord of the Rings fan, if you're a mediocre fan, if you're a heavy fan, if you're not so much of a fan at all, either way, let me know what you think. What's your top 10? What's your top 10? I want to know your top 10. Do you disagree? Do you agree with some things? Do you think somebody shouldn't be on there at all? Do you understand some of my points? I mean, with Samwise, maybe not a lot of people would have thought Sam to put him on the list. But let me know what you guys think. Comment on the video. On social media, you can let me know as well. So if you're a big Lord of the Rings fan, let me know what you think about the series. You know, about the series coming up, the news of the series being in production, in the works. Let me know. Now, Lord of the Rings fans, this one's for you. Hope you enjoyed our chat here about Lord of the Rings and the series coming up and my favorite characters. So, yeah, that's about it, guys. That's all I really wanted to go through today. Just a quick episode. Just get back into it. And so that's about it, guys. So if you could, as always, I would appreciate if you could follow the social media. As mentioned, if you could like the YouTube page, subscribe to YouTube page. For those that don't know, it doesn't cost anything. You know, it's basically just following the channel to show support and to get notifications when new videos arrive. So, but either way, it's a huge support to me, and I would greatly appreciate if you could. And obviously, if you could reach out to anyone else that you might know, tell them to tune in and check it out. And last but not least, I do want to, I would love to hear more bright stories. The sole purpose, not the sole purpose, but one of the biggest things, the backbone of the show when I originally started it was to be the bright stories. And haven't really been receiving a lot of bright stories lately. And I know that there's people out there doing amazing things. And really would like to, I want to challenge you in a way. I want to challenge you guys to share those stories. It's not bragging. It's sharing something good that happened to you. Maybe if you don't want to share something that you did, share something that happened to you, something that brightened your day. It could be something little, as far as I was out running, somebody said hello, stopped to talk to me. We chatted for a half hour and got to know each other, and we ended up being friends. That's, you know, something crazy, but it could be that somebody dropped some money on the ground and you picked it up for them and gave it back. Little things. I want to hear these stories because it shows that there's so many more people out there doing things for one another that are not being shared. There's so many people doing good things, and they need to be brought to light, because there's all we hear is bad, negative. I want to uplift you guys. I want to show that there is so much more brightness in the world than there is darkness. There are people out there doing these things, and I want to inspire you guys through their stories, through me talking about them, through me, you know, just being myself, being a fun person to be around. I want to influence you guys to try to be the same. I want you guys to think about others. I want you to put others first. I know it's tough sometimes. I know it's tough, but I want you to, I'm challenging you to go out of your way to just, it doesn't have to be something huge, but just go out of your way to do something nice to somebody. Try to change their day for the better, make it brighter. And hopefully through all these stories, through these connections, through these episodes, we can get there, and it's going to make the world a better place. It's going to make the world a better place. So that's the goal. I hope that eventually I can influence you to get to that point, and I hope we can get there together, you and I. So thank you guys again for joining me. Hope you had fun. Hope you enjoyed. Tune in next week. We'll have another good one for you. Take care, guys. Enjoy. Have a wonderful and bright week, and we'll see you next time.